Okay, meeting has started. Okay, sorry. Now, let me see. Willie is here, Angela is here, Abu is here, Dennis, Hiran, CJ, Rush. Panos, okay. Now, before we get to Willie for his opening address, let's have a round of introduction of whoever it is. So we just start from myself. Hi, good evening. Today is the chapter meeting for the online club. Anybody can hear me fine? Good. Great, thank you. Now, myself, I'm based in Singapore. And as you can see, my background is the night scene of Singapore. So you can take a look. Now, next up, we will have Willie just to introduce, then we'll move on. Those who are not speaking, please mute your microphone until please mute yourself first, because we have some background noises. Yep, so those who are speaking, then they will speak and mute for the next person. All right, Willie, go ahead. Just an introduction. Just say who you are and also.
Hi everyone, this is Willie. I'm from Singapore. I'm the club president of this online club. Thank you.
Next up, I think we have Angela since she's in. Can just unmute yourself and just say hello.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Angela Lansbury. I'm also in Singapore. I'm a speaker and an author and president of another club and area director.
Okay. Next up, we have Dennis.
Good evening. I'm Dennis Ham. I'm in the United States on the West Coast in California.
Okay, Raj.
Good evening, everyone. This is Raj from Mumbai.
Cool.
Good evening, everyone. This is Raj from Mumbai. I'm
okay. Next up, Hiran.
Hi, everyone. This is Hiren. I am from Singapore, but moved to UK for work. So was a Toastmaster in Singapore, but now based here in UK.
Okay, then CJ. CJ, no volume. Yep.
CJ from Singapore. I'm the secretary for this online club, and I'm from Singapore.
Cool. All right. Panos.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Toastmasters and friends. I'm Panos. I am from Greece, and I'm very happy to be representing Greece in our online community and representing Europe together with Hiren and also my home district, which is District 109. Thank you all.
Thank you. And Abu has shut off his video, so is he speaking? If not, we will move to Willie for his opening address. Then we'll start with the table topics. Yes. Willie, your opening address, and maybe you might need to change your background because your background you are sort of faded inside the background or invisible into the background.
How about now?
Yep, no, still the same. I think you need to change it, or maybe you need to get a green screen here. Yep, that is much better.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmaster and friends from all over the world. This week is a great disaster for people in China, where they got hit because of the Wuhan virus, coronavirus. I have attended a few conferences that is online, that is Singapore mid-morning, that is morning of the US time. I am giving center by the silent spread of the virus that is spreading towards the world. Although this meeting is about resolution, we are centered by the news of the virus that is spreading rapidly in China and throughout the world. Well, that's why Singapore Online Toastmasters Club can help, can allow you to attend Toastmasters wherever you are. Because you do not need to get in contact with people who you don't know whether there's a virus or not, whether they are having a cold or flu. But Singapore Online Toastmasters Club, we are here to let you improve your communication skill and leadership skill, perhaps. And we are free for viruses. We are only, technology will fail us, but will not get viruses for people, for US, Danish, or for here for Europe, London, and CJ for the other part of Singapore, or Raj for India, right? Raj? And Panos for Greece. We are here, that's why early this week, I have an urgent meeting with some of my EXCO members that our doors are open to all Toastmasters throughout the whole world. The prepared speakers. And we are here, we are not here to replace what they're supposed to have, but we are here to avoid the virus that is going on. We don't know who is the person beside us. This online meeting will allow us to communicate without any fear. So fear of anything, we are only fear of speaking online. Or the fear of speaking online. We are not fear of any virus because there's no virus at our home or wherever we are, unless you are in your workplace. So today, before I end my speech, I will leave you with a message that I have prepared. If you speak to the same person over and over, you will never improve as a communicator. Make a point to talk to more people you haven't spoken to before. There could be new people at networking events or strangers on the street, and even online. Strike up basic conversation with a small talk and see where it leads. So, fellow Toastmasters, do not be, whether you are listening for your home or you are listening for the recorded video that is available after the meeting, do not be fearful of speaking online, but be fearful of the virus around you. Over to you, David, topic master.
Table topics. Okay, never mind.
Toastmaster.
All right. Okay, before we continue with the meeting proper, today we will have, like we mentioned, 3 TMDs tonight. All right. Firstly, it will be myself, followed by Willie for the speakers section, the speech session, and then Alicia for the evaluation. So we will have 3 TMDs tonight. interesting. Okay, firstly, we will have our table topics session, following by the speeches and evaluation. So I guess everybody has the agenda that is on the Easy Speak. All right, so without any more interruptions, Hiran, are you ready for the table topic session?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Okay, then Hiran, take over for the table topics. Thank you.
So, Toastmaster of the evening, respected club president and fellow Toastmasters, it's my pleasure to present my first table topic section out here in the online Toastmasters Club. So super excited, super happy. And why happy? Because two things, because of the grim situations that our club president has just spoken about in terms of the virus. So in the times like these where things are low and down, I think we can call ourselves as the first immunized Toastmaster club. So we don't spread virus, but we become the world's first. So there may be many online Toastmasters club, but we may be the first immunized Toastmaster club keeping virus away. So that's happy and friendly note. And other historic moment, as Panos mentioned, that we are brothers from Europe, but I think we are getting we're getting separated today as UK leaves and there's Brexit this evening. So as UK exits from Europe today, but don't worry, don't cry, Panos. The Toastmasters online Toastmaster Club will always unite us. So with that with that happy note, let me begin my happy table topics. What's different today is that what I've done is a little bit of fun around things, and my table topics is little much related to the theme of today evenings. And as we begin, just let me share my screen in terms of what I mean. Yeah, here we go. I hope you're able to see my screen. Yeah. Okay, so what essentially it says, and this is what relates to the theme that we have, that this is a CNN research that I was referring to, and what they say is that a lot many New Year resolutions fail because people start with all the enthusiasm and then it fizzles out as February comes in. So again, this is the CNN research which says that not all or 70 or 80% of the yearly resolutions fail by February. So the new coined terminology in human psychology is this mini or micro resolutions, which is the month's resolution. And as we finish January and get into February tomorrow, let's understand what those monthly resolutions are. And for the definition's sake, these monthly resolutions need to be lasted only for 4 weeks. So you don't have to continue it, or you don't have to continue it. Every month is a different resolution. And this is my table topics for today on the theme of this having a monthly resolution. And how we're going to play it is that I have all the names on a spin wheel. So the spin wheel will just come up in a moment. So if you, so this is the spin wheel. So these are names of people who are in attendance, and the spin wheel will come in, and we will then showcase what is the table topics that has been assigned to you. So let's just begin in terms of having some fun. I hope you can see the spin wheel and all your names are mentioned. So I've tried my level best to capture as many as I could, but hope everyone's name is captured. Also, it's not a compulsion for you to participate. Let me tell you that if you don't want to speak, that's okay. We will remove your name, and if your name comes up, and then we will do the spin wheel again. Yeah. So with that, let's just begin. Can I just have, with a show of hands, if you're able to see the spin wheel, just for my confirmation? if you can, do a little bit of a handshake just to show that you are able to see the spin wheel. No? All right, let me just share again to all right, so this should have the spin wheel up. Now you should be able to I hope everyone's name is there. In case it's missing, do let me know so that I can add in your name. Okay, so with that, let's begin. And let's try by spinning the spin wheel in terms of whose number is first or who's going for speaking first. All right, so it's Angela. Angela, are you ready as the first speaker? All right, so what you're going to tell us is that for your monthly resolution is to convince everyone that in February doing poetry, reading poetry, or dedicating a month for poetry is a good resolution to have. And when you see that little thumbs up, it also shows that you are for it. So you believe in it, and poetry is the right thing for every one of us to do. So poetry it is for February, and take it away, Angela.
Poetry for February. I believe we should have poetry for every month. I used to go to a poetry class every year, but now I've done it so many times I do other things when I go to my writer's holiday. And one year we were given a poetry book and told to write a piece of poetry every month. And the idea was that at the end of the year, you would have a poetry diary of everything you had done in the year or everything you wanted to remember, or seasonal poems. And one of the writing groups I belonged to produced a calendar with a poem for every month of the year. But February is a good start. We've already missed the whole of January, so we'll have to start with February. And I like the idea that you only need to keep it up for a month, because then beginners will be encouraged, because the whole year seems rather daunting, whereas a month seems quite easy. And I would say you only have to do a couplet, and I do a poem every day. If I do some exercise or some mindless task like swimming up and down, I try and write a poem as I go. And then if you're running on a treadmill or swimming up and down, or even sitting on a train, nowadays with a phone, it's so easy. You can keep a record of what you've written, and everyone can do a couplet. Every nursery school child can do a couplet. If it's ing and ing, sing and ring, February, January, week, seek, meek, leak, speak, and so on. So I suggest that everybody tonight starts with a rhyming couplet, if you can. That's all I have to say. And now I'll go away.
Thank you very much. That is indeed inspirational for all us to write poetry. I also would like to add that February is the Valentine's month. And if you can write a small little poem for your partner, then that would do away with any Valentine expensive gift that you have to buy. So I am definitely going to write a couplet in lieu of an expensive gift for my partner. So thank you, Angela, for this inspiring talk. All right, so before let's just get into the next one, and before I begin, is there anyone who's joined in whose name I'm missing from the wheel? I hope not. Let me just check. So I'm just, as we speak, I'm just doing a quick, yes, no one. All right, so let's spin the wheel for the second one. I hope you're able to see the screen and the wheel. Okay, so we have Abdul. Abdul, can you hear us? Can you get in front of your video?
Oh, it's Raj, not Abdul. Raj.
All right, is it Raj?
Yeah, it's Raj.
Okay, Raj, can you see us, hear us? Hi, Raj, can you?
Hello.
Yeah,
I
hi,
have
Raj.
unmuted myself.
Okay, all right. So here's your monthly resolution coming up, where you will convince that why this micro resolution is good. And March is all about sleeping. So why you should sleep more in March, and why should we have this resolution? So Raj, over to you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. March, and my resolution is to sleep. Uh, Whatever I know, sleeping much is not good thing. We should sleep as whatever is required, whatever is needed. If we make resolution for sleeping, we can, but it should not be for all day and night. Uh, we do work in the day timing, whatever is needed, and if we get more time to work, we can avoid that. We can take proper sleep, because sleeping is as equally as important as going for work and doing other activity. We should give at least 8 hours of sleep every day, and if probably you do not get enough sleep in other months of year, you can make the resolution that in the March month we will give adequate amount of sleep during the night time, because if we take proper sleep, we give our body, our mind a proper rest. And when we give proper rest to our mind, then refunctioning and settlement of the mind works well, because when mind get cool and calm during sleeping, and when we wake up again with the fresh mind after the sleep, we can we can do our work more effectively, more result oriented, and more and very well manner. So sleeping is important, and those people, or even myself, or even anyone who do compromise with the sleep, you can take the resolution in the March that we can have proper sleep in the night, so that we can spend good work-life balance for the coming months and for the coming days and coming timing. Thank you.
Indeed, wonderful. And I was reading that there is one, the American Psychologists Association have said that something that's creeping into people's sleep is too much of social networking. So if you were to keep yourself clutter free, if you'll keep away from social networking bit, it increases a fraction of your sleep. Now, there is a research paper that the American Psychologist Association are working on. It's not a proved research, but increasingly people are being sleep deprived because they are constantly on the phone, and the light screen really affects and hampers the speech. All right, so moving on, who's next? Let's see, and we will spin the wheel again. So I am removing Raj from here because he's not there. And at this moment, let me also check if any new entries or anyone new who has come in. Not quite, so we are the same house. So let's look at who is the next one to go. All right, Dennis, you are in next. And tell us, in April, why should we spend too much time with nature, and why would it be the resolution for us to have?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master and fellow Toastmasters. April. As I recall some of those rhymes, then they say that, or April showers bring May flowers. So April is a nice time to be out because normally during the rest of the year around where I live, it gets windy and there's a lot of dust. So April is really the best month to be out because of the rain showers will help knock down the dust, so it's easier to breathe and you can get a lot more exercise outside, except if you don't like water. Well, since I lived in Seattle for quite a while, I learned to get used to rain showers, because if you'd waited for the rain to stop and you lived in Seattle, you would never go outside. So I finally got used to going out in the rain, and it's very refreshing because the air is so clean and clear. So I think that April is a good month to be out with nature, because we just finished a long winter and things are starting to turn color and look more beautiful. So April is the best month to start a resolution of being out with nature. Mr. Topic Master.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I think very nicely put in terms of, I think we are welcoming spring, and April is a perfect time where you can actually go out, smell and embrace nature, as they say. So just go out and take a deep breath and, soak yourself in nature, divorce your devices and be with nature, as they say. All right. So beginning on, and let's go to the next one. Who's in next? It's our club president, Willie. Willie, are you okay to speak?
No. No.
Okay, I will get your name removed. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Panos, are you okay to speak? Oh, brilliant. All right, so I think there is a twist coming up as far as your table topics is concerned. And for May, the resolution was meditation. But if you can see the twist, it has a thumbs down. Yeah, so now you're going to reverse us and tell us that why you should not do meditation in May, or why having a resolution of doing meditation is harmful for us in that month. Yeah, over to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. Thank you for this question. In fact, this is something that I have been pondering on for the last couple of weeks, because I find that I am type of person that likes to delve into things and think something through before I take action. Sometimes this means that the window of opportunity closes and I lose an opportunity. So you see, when I spend time thinking about it, I get in this meditative mode, and then I want to evaluate possible scenarios. You know, they call people like me overthinkers. I'm embarrassed to admit that I consider myself an overthinker, at least at times. But then I come to realize that perhaps every now and then the right thing to do is take action, which brings to my mind a popular quote by Sheryl Sandberg that says, "Done is better than perfect." So for the month of May, I vow to myself to be meditating less on the level of detail of my decisions and my actions, and instead go for it right away. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Indeed, wonderfully presented in terms of going for it and not 100% of it. I think so well put in terms of twisting this fact of non-meditating. So very nicely put. All right, and I'm hoping that no new people have joined in. So let me do a quick check so that there are no additions to new joiners. No, we are not. So we now have the last two speakers. So let's do a quick spin of the wheel. Shanshan, so checking with you. Are you ready for delivering the next one? All right.
Yep.
So yours it is, and this yours one is also with a twist. And for June, it says that fresh fruit and water should be the resolution, but there is a downward arrow. So you're going to convince that why having fresh fruit and juice, or why not having fresh fruit and juice should be ideal for June. Take it away, Shanshan.
Okay, so let me understand this. I'm supposed to say that water and fresh fruits is not really that good during June, or I can
Correct.
agree with.
So this thing says that you need to convince everyone that June's resolution is fresh fruit and juice, but it is harmful for June. You don't have fresh fruit and juice in June.
Okay. All right. Interesting way of doing table topics today. Frankly speaking, fresh juice, I would rather take fresh fruits instead of fruit juice. But here it is that you really do not want to take fresh fruit in June, because instead of fresh fruit, you can do shake. It's also the same, where you can put in all your fresh fruits inside. There's one, I have a strawberry shake, strawberry with celery, strawberry with blueberries, and celery shake. That is one way of getting your water in. That is also getting one way of getting your fruits in as well. So I guess instead of fresh fruit, go for shakes or go for fruit juice in June. Water is essential, because for me, without water, I cannot survive. Every day, at least 1.5 liter water for a work day. So fresh fruits, I can just take it out and switch it to shakes or fruit juice. I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Yes, wonderful indeed. And how bad it would be that if we shun the fresh fruit and juice, but there are alternatives. So to one of the Toastmasters Club where I had gone, and they had a similar one, they said, replace this with beer and alcohol. Shun Fred juice and just keep sipping alcohol that month. So the imaginations of people go wild, but that's the way it is. All right, so I think we have the last speaker, and I will not going to spin the wheel because there's just one name and the wheel will keep spinning and coming back to one name. So it is CJ, unless and until anyone else is joined in. So CJ, are you ready for your next?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So here's something coming up for July, and again, it's with a twist. It says July is a month with movement and agility. So the resolution says do a lot of movement and agility, but you need to convince us saying that July should be a stationary month. So don't do a lot of exercise, don't be agile, just sit back, relax. So it's the negative of movement and agility. So CJ, over to you.
Okay. Basically, I'm a person who like to exercise because health is my favorite activity, exercising. So, fantastic Friday, fellow Toastmasters. For the month of July, I intended to read books, read very useful books, because I need to cover back the last few months where I have made a lot of resolution to read a book a month. So can you imagine that during the month of July, I'm going to concentrate on just by reading more books and improve my knowledge. Example for this book is called Rigor, Wrestle and Wrangle. It's an author from Singapore, and I actually bought many books from our local Singaporean authors to support them. And I find that their books are very useful and can increase my knowledge even more and greater. So my fellow Toastmasters, actually, other than exercising to have a better health, we must also keep pace with the technology by reading more books to upgrade ourselves and soar to greater heights. For me, I find that I always want to keep learning and keep growing and keep serving. I have a quote for all of you. Be better today than you were yesterday, and better tomorrow than you are today. So read a lot of books to increase your knowledge during the month of July, and I believe that it will make you a greater person. Thank you. Back to you, Table Topic Master Hiran.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I think the best way, you have a solution. So a lot of people get perplexed saying that, oh, if I don't move, if I don't, don't exercise, what will happen? But you're exercising your brain by reading. And I think you have a great solution to an anti-resolution as we would say. So I think that brings me to the end. I think everyone has been quite sporty enough to participate and be a part of this twisty table topics, as we would say. I am just trying to check. Zahid has just joined us. So Zahid, I leave it to you. Would you like to take up the last one for your table topics? Just checking. We have one more left. So would you like to give it a try?
The table topic?
Yeah, we couldn't hear. Sorry. Say that again.
I passed the topic, table topics. Yeah. Thanks, Panova. Can you hear me?
Yes. You said you want to pass or you want to participate?
Pass. I'll pass.
Pass.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think that comes to the end of the table topics, and I pass on to the Toastmaster of the evening.
Okay, thank you, Hero. That was interesting with the wheel, and maybe next time we can try that as well, because that guarantees everybody will speak, because it points to you. All right, can I wait? Let me see. Based on the message, Angela, Raj, Dennis, Myself, Panos, and CJ have all qualified. So can we have the votings up now? Really? Yoo-hoo. Oh,
He may be on his phone call.
huh? Okay. Now you check your screen. The voting is up. Now ignore the name Zahid, Pallavi, and Alicia. I think because that was the previous one, so we just have to wait for him to give us the
Okay,
new.
let me try. I think there is. How do I change?
Okay. Take a look at the the chat group.
Let me try to enter now because just now I was,
Okay.
but I cannot open. You guys can open that. It should not be any problem. So I just wait.
Okay.
Give me 5 minutes. I will be.
Okay. Shall we take a 5 minutes break? Because I believe not all speakers are up, right?
Yeah, no.
So we take a 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
5 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay. Since our club president says we have a 10 minutes break, timing on my laptop is 9:57. So we were back by 10:07. I mean, that will be based on Singapore time, 10:07 p.m. 10 minutes, we will be back. Okay, all okay? If all okay, let's take a break. Thank you. Willie, you want to stop the...
Okay. Okay, go. Hi everyone. Is
Hello,
everyone
Willie.
back for break yet? Or still having toilet break? Okay.
We're back.
Before we start the next session, if you are not speaking tonight or not speaking at the moment, please mute yourself. Okay. Thank you very much. And the first speaker, okay, there are some changes tonight. So we have only 5 speakers tonight, and we have 5 evaluators. I will be the generator in the second half. Okay, the first speaker will be CJ. It will be evaluated by Shanshan, icebreaker speech. Second speaker, Zahid, will be evaluated by CJ for innovative Spanish level 2 introduction to Toastmaster mentoring. Okay, and the third speaker is Panos. It will be evaluated by Alicia. The fourth speaker will be Alicia, evaluated by Dennis. And Shanshan. Okay, let me see who else can evaluate Shanshan. Let me see. I have to be the evaluator already. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, Angela can be the evaluator for Shanshan's speech. Okay. Angela can be the evaluator for Shanshan. Okay, let us start the second segment. Your first speaker, CJ, will be speaking for the icebreaker menu on the dynamic leadership. Let us have the evaluator Shanshan to give the project objective, purpose statement. Sasha.
Wait, okay, I have the thing with me, give me a moment. Okay, the purpose of this project is for the member to introduce himself or herself to the club and to learn the basic structure of a public speech. The timing is 4 to 6 minutes.
Press CJ.
Yes, can you hear me?
I need to show your face. See my screen for timer. Okay, you can start now.
Fantastic Friday, Club President, fellow Toastmaster and guests. My name is Chang Jing, aka CJ. Remember the Da Chang Jing in the famous Korean drama To Remember My Name. You can also call me a Chief Judge, CJ. I come from a happy family with a pair of caring and loving parents. My parents are hawkers and they work very late every day. They work hard so that they are able to provide more for my elder brother and me. Despite their humble earnings, my parents have screamed and saved to give us a good education and even provided us a holiday trip to America and China. My mother is a very positive person and she's also my role model. I always remember what she once told me from a quote. Tough time never lasts, but tough people do. When I was 23, I met a wonderful girl who later becomes my wife at a friend's birthday party. She is attractive, amazing, and awesome. I was amazed by this woman who was sincerely doing voluntary work and helped the poor and needy even during her school times. Very soon, I knew she was the woman for me. Although she has many admirers, I finally won her heart being the tough man in my mom's quote. She will always make me feel happy and always put me in the first place. We both had a beautiful girl, and my wife took good care of our girl at home. For me, I'm someone who is always striving to improve myself. Since young, I was often labeled too shy or too quiet in school. This hurts me very much. People don't understand how painful it was to be shy or have jokes made with my quietness over and over again. I felt like I wasn't good enough and there's something wrong with me. At Brandby 6, I was bullied by people. I desperately wanted to fit in and please others. Hence, I let people walk over me like a doormat. During my teenage time, my friends find me not cool enough, not just because of not knowing the popular music, not having the most fashionable clothes, but also my shy character. 10 years ago, I ran my first marathon in my life. Due to insufficient training, I find the last 4-kilometer run devastating. I was cursing and swearing. Why I have to pay so much money to suffer? I was exhausted mentally and physically. It was a horrible and terrible experience. But I remember what my mom had always told me. Tough times never last, but tough people do. In the end, I brace up, endure the pain, and walk slowly to the finishing line. And I finally get my medal and t-shirts. 1 year ago, I was retrenched by a small company due to financial difficulties the company is facing. I remember my mom's quote again. I gained confidence and performed well in many interviews and landed myself in a big multinational company now. To overcome my shyness and improvement in public speaking skills, I joined Payoh Central CC Toastmaster Club, and there was no turning back. At first, I still hesitated as I'm afraid to speak in front of many people in the public. Now, I can speak so confidently in front of so many people. I have seen immense improvement in myself. With many opportunities to visit other clubs, I have visited around 50 clubs last year, and I have got to know a very senior Toastmaster who are willing to share their life experiences with me. After my wife sees the change in me, she joined the Toastmaster Club without much resistance. I will also try my best to encourage and inspire my daughter to join the Toastmaster Club one day. I hope I can excel in public speaking and inspire my daughter next time. Not just with my colleague at work, but also with the people around me. My dream is one day I can write a book on my life story that can impact, influence, inspire millions of people around the world, like how my mom had inspired me. I would like to end with this quote, my fellow Toastmasters. Be better today than you were yesterday. Be better tomorrow than you are today. Keep growing, keep serving, and keep learning. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster DJ, for his wonderful icebreaker. The next speaker is the next speaker is Zaid, and he's doing a project switch for innovative planning project level 2 project 3 introduction to Toastmaster methodology. So let us have his evaluator CJ to tell us the purpose statement.
Purpose statement: to present a speech about a time when being a protege, share the impact and importance of having a mentor, avoid reporting on the content of this project. Time is 5 to 7 minutes. Good luck, Zahid.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Really, can I start the timer?
Yes, you can start.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
A very good evening, club president, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. A role of mentor. A mentor is to share a protege information on his or her own career path, as well as provide guidance, motivation, emotional support, and role modeling. As a mentor, he or she must help explore career, setting goals for the mentee, developing context, and identifying resources for the mentee or protege. Serving as a mentor brings many challenges and rewards, with the best mentors working to shape their mentor or protege into leaders, but just not followers, just not good followers. It's done well. If it's done well, if your mentor is done well, it's a long-term impact of mentoring can offer life or career-changing benefit to both the mentor and the protege. The difference between the mentor and the coach. Some people will say that it's the same, but actually mentor and coach is not the same. It's a similar things to support someone development, but they involve different discipline in practice. Mentoring consists of a long-term relationship with the protege or supporting the growth and the development of the mentee or the protege. Whereas for the coach, Coaching is typically involved in a relationship of finite duration, which is focused on strengthening and eliminating the behavior that detect from the individual performance. So why seek mentor? Actually, I have fear in public speaking. 10 years ago, I joined Toastmaster, and I joined Toastmaster. That time was about almost 6 years, and due to busy commitment through works and the motivation, I stopped joining the Toastmaster. And 6 months ago, I joined back Toastmaster, Fuchun Toastmaster. And this time I want something, because as I mentioned, I was fear in the public speaking. So I'm telling myself, I need to overcome this fear, because everybody has fear. It's a matter of how you can ignore it, you can deny it, or you can stuck on it. But for me, I embrace this fear. So I joined Toastmasters back 6 months ago. So I was glad to have a good mentor in this Toastmaster. He's very kind, he's very supportive, and he's very understanding. He actually support me emotionally, in a sense that whenever I got stuck, or whenever I have difficulty in doing my project, he will be there. He will be there to show me, not to train me, or not to train me. He will just point out all the things that I need to know to get through the projects. And also, I remember once we were having a speechcraft, and we have an issue with the location of the meeting location. And he's the one who find ways, a lot of avenues for us, the group of us, to continue to complete the speechcraft. These are some of the values of the mentors that I have, and I'm glad that I have this mentor around me to support me. So, and sometimes we also be asking ourselves, why we at times why we seek a mentor. Because a mentor, instead of just train or to tell you what to do, they are actually show you all the question, or show you things that make your mind, or your to think, your mind to think. Yes. For example, like I give a very layman example, like a coach, a swimming coach, that throw you in the water and suddenly ask you to swim. But that is a coach. But a mentor, he will tell you what will be the depth of the pool, how you can manage to do your stand of water and things like that. They are the mentors who are the one who tell you the risk, the danger of all what you're gonna do. What are you gonna do? Same thing like the Toastmaster. The mentor, not just to guide you, to support you emotionally, but instead he support you in a way that you can complete your projects in a timely manner. So the bottom line, as a mentor, he can make a lot of difference in my career or my life, because I've more confident. Although there's still fear doing the public speaking, but I'm improving. I'm learning through this mentoring. And the important thing is that to come in a relationship with a realistic expectation about the role and the willingness to work hard. So the impact of the mentor, guidance, and wisdom now not may be felt for some years to come for me, but I will realize this is a positive impact in my life. And over time to go, I hope like him. Thank you so much. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster Zai. Okay. Can I have the next speaker, Shasha? There's some changes because Alicia have not come, so I have shifted Shasha's speech to be the third speaker, and her evaluator is Angela. Is Angela around?
Yes.
Okay, Angela, I have given you the project objective. Can you please read it out?
Hello.
Hi.
Your path. Present a speech that shares the experience of complete engaging humor. Project 5.2, reflect on your path. Present a speech that shares the experience completing this path, including the progress made, skills learned and developed, as well as a celebration of the achievement in a style that supports the speech content. Time, I think, is 5 minutes. Is that correct? 5 to
10
7?
to 12.
10 to 12. And do you have any questions at the end, or do you just finish it? 10 to 12.
Yep, just go on to it.
Okay. Right. What is the title?
Why this path?
Sorry?
Why this path?
Why this path? Thank you.
Okay, if everybody is ready, I will begin. Okay. Now, how many of you have difficulties choosing your path for the Pathways project? I see Panos, Dennis. I think most of us have difficulties. All right, because I did the presentation masteries, I did the visionary communication. I realized that these are two different pathways altogether. Because visionary communication mostly talks about your communications and how do you want to communicate your visions to people. Presentation mastery talks about your presentation skills as mostly more on the, those who have gone through the CC manual, the Competent Communicator manual, we realize that presentation mastery is somewhat similar to the CC manual. Somehow it's similar. So I decided which is the third path to do. Sit down in front of the camera, in front of the laptop, assess the TI website, assess the pathways manual, log into the Basecamp. One whole range of ideas came out. Which one to talk? Which one to choose? In the end, I guess it was in June 2019, 2 months, about 4 months after Engaging Humor came out on the 5th of February 2019, I took that path. And over the course of doing that project, level 1 is similar across all paths. All 11 paths is the same. Your icebreaker, your evaluation and feedback, and your research and presentation. It's the same throughout all the paths. All 11 paths have the same thing. if you finish 11 paths, you have repeated 11 icebreakers. That is an interesting fact. Level 2, on the other hand, it differs from presentation mastery because it doesn't talk about your communication style. It only talks about your introduction to mentoring, Toastmasters mentoring. It also talks about your communication style, your sense of humor rather, sorry. Level 2 project 1 is know your sense of humor, meaning, are you the person who the moment you open your mouth, laughter comes out naturally? Or you are the type to really slowly engage the audience until they're able to laugh at your jokes? Or really just get the mood up until they are laughing at your jokes? So that is what level 2 project 1 does. Another project on level 2 is to connect with the audience. In a way, is to connect with unfamiliar audience or connect with familiar audience using humor. Although the project doesn't really call for you to be humorous. And I was wondering, why do I have to be humorous if the project doesn't call for it then? Level 3, on the other hand, it is where you engage the audience with humor. Because you have to get them to laugh. Even if you don't get them to laugh, at least you get them to smile at your jokes. And that is where I really learned how to get people. Because some evaluator says, I don't have the sense of humor because I'm not that humorous. I don't have this vocal variety to exaggerate the story scenes. I don't have the facial expressions to get the exaggeration up. I was like, okay, I'm still trying to learn. Because as for me, I would rather hide in the corner, stay away from the limelight, and just hide in the corner, that's all. Anything that comes out on the line, anything that needs me to be in the front line, I'll hide in the corner. And everybody tells me that your work and your personality doesn't match. Because you deal with customers every day, and you rather hide behind the scenes. What? It doesn't make sense to people who first see me. And the electives for level 3 is the same throughout the paths as well. So you have the effective body language, or these storytelling, connect with storytelling. Some of the electives are also main projects for other paths. So depending on how you see it. Level 4, on the other hand, has one project that is very interesting because it's dealing with power of humor in impromptu speech. There is a list of topics you need to do, and the TMD of the day has to choose the topic. So 12 questions, you have to prepare 12 topics, and all these 12 topics, you have to do it humorously. I did a project twice, and it managed to get one person to laugh. Of all the two times, only one person laughed. I was like, oh, I guess I'm not that humorous after all, because only one person laughed. Out of the whole audience, only one person. That is very sad. And the electives are the same, so I will not repeat. Level 5 tests you on how to be humorous for 18 to 22 minutes. Lucky it didn't ask me to be humorous for 20 to 40 minutes. That one, I would definitely cannot make it, because then you won't see me doing stand-up comedy because I cannot last that long. 18 to 22 minutes, it will take me probably 7 tries, maybe, to get people to laugh at my jokes. I'm still trying my best to get people to laugh. Because I'm not humorous. Although some people tell me, you are humorous because your humor is not like those personality that once you come out, everybody will laugh. Yours is dry humor, deadpan humor. Now, how many of you agrees with that? Or how many of you think that I am really those that really can show deadpan humor, dry humor? No. Now, how many of you knows the definition of dry humor? According to what I see, dry humor is the deliberate display of a lack of no emotion, commonly as a form of comedic delivery, to contrast with the ridiculousness of the subject matter. The delivery is meant to be blunt, ironic, laconic, or apparently unintentional, meaning it just suddenly comes up. So one of the speech I gave, the evaluator says I have dry humor. Some says I have dry humor, some says I have no humor at all. So which is which? Now what do you think my humor style is? Can anybody just answer me? Is it dry humor or is it funny humor that gets people to laugh immediately? I'm still working on it. Yep, definitely. I'm still working on it. And people tell me that I don't have the vocal variety. I don't have the facial expressions. But, frankly speaking, how many of us have natural vocal varieties, natural facial expressions that, boom, immediately you just get people to laugh? How many of us have that? Or how many of us need to practice that much to get everybody to laugh? How many of us have the natural availability? Because if I do that, I might be just a comedic person or somebody who just laugh. Ha ha ha, just laugh like that. Nah, I don't think so I am. Because from what I see, I can have dry humor. I'm still trying to get that sense of humor up. Because actually engaging humor, frankly speaking, only level 2 tells you that. After that, it doesn't tell you anything. Because it really just asks you to get people to laugh, humor. But what is exactly, how does it get exactly into the humor? How? That is one issue that I'm still working on. And that's one issue that I want to try. To get people to laugh as many as my joke as many as possible. And that is where probably after my 4th puff, I'll try engaging humor again. Well, I have come to the end, and thank you for listening to my rant of how I felt about engaging humor. And probably I might go back to presentation mastery for the next puff and come back to engaging humor again. So thank you for listening to my rant, and thank you for listening so attentively for the past 11 minutes. Thank you. Back to you, Willie.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shasha. Okay, let us go Google. Okay, before I announce it, let me check if Alicia is online. Alicia, are you online? Okay,
Yes.
Alicia will be doing a project speech without any project objective. She's ready her competition speech. So her evaluator is Dennis. So there's no project objective. So the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. And Alicia, you can start the speech.
Throughout my whole life, I have been showered with tough love. A scorching evening to President, fellow members and distinguished guests. Let me share my tales of tough love with everyone here. A typical morning starts like this. Hey Dad, look at this nice condo. My dad answers, you this kind, forget about condo. Reality bites. So I decided to pull out my socks, have breakfast early morning, work very hard till midnight. So practically, I'm not seen most of the days. Sometimes, my mother will call me on the phone. Ring, ring. Are you sure? Tonight you working late? Don't come back so late. That's when I'm suddenly working and the phone rings. When I finally come back at midnight, I hear Mom say, Alamak, come back so late again. You eat your dinner so late. You're going to put on weight. And then you sleep late at some more, you're going to get dementia. Forget to switch off the light. Forget to switch off the fan. You can hear, cannot sleep. And my dad says, is Alicia back? So I guess absence makes the heart fonder. Now, besides being busy at work, I've also decided to improve my personal development and public speaking. So I remember 2 years ago in 2017, I took part in 2 competitions at club level. Ma, can I borrow your cowboy hat? What you want? Yeah, cowboy hat. I need it as a prop for my competition. Don't have that. Bang. 10 minutes later, he opens the door. Here you go, the hat. Make sure you return it back. The contest speech arrives. And interestingly, I won 2 trophies, not just 1, but 2. So of course, can you imagine my joy? I rush home and immediately when I see my father, I said, hey Pa, here goes my 2 trophies.
Hey, what is this one? What?
I'm doing a video. Go back, I'm on video. Must be Kelong. All the judges must be internal judges. See, that's tough love at work. Nevertheless, I continued in my jubilant happiness, put my 2 trophies on the cabinet. And then here comes my sister, and she sees the trophies and says, what is the meaning of this? So I smiled, yeah, my 2 trophies that I won. Now, I'm sure everybody has experienced tough love in their life. But what can you do about tough love? Normally, if you come across tough love, you straightway run out of the door. Try to avoid it. But I have a 3 simple step way where you can tackle tough love. First of all, understand tough love. There is no bad intention behind tough love, as you can see earlier on. When someone is showering you with tough love, they want to make you tough, just like the lion who pushes his cubs off the cliff to make them tougher. And this morning, I was looking at my friend's Instagram, a typical tiger mom, as she self-proclaimed. She says, when your child decides that she doesn't want to focus and she's getting too cozy on the chair, you up the game by getting her off the chair and making her balance with one leg by the side, crane style, and not allowing her to sit on a chair. And if should she lose her balance, comes the metal rod. The second step to do is to engage the person. Sometimes I work from home, and that would say this to me. No business? Instead of being upset, just reply like this. Business is good, but I could still do with some referrals. So this is deja vu moment where he takes out some cards and passes to me, and we have a mini conversation. The final method is to break the chain of tough love. End it with stop the sarcasm, stop all this toughness, and shower them with real love and compassion. Just like Mother Teresa says, spread the love around. Never leave anyone unhappy. To conclude, everybody is capable of giving love. We need to end tough love and tear off the tough out of tough love and shower it with love. To sum up, love conquers all. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Okay, thank you, Alicia, for the wonderful speech that made everyone laugh. Okay, let us go to the next speaker, Panos. The speech title is This is Water by David Foster Wallace. It's for Interpretive Reading Project 5, the Oracle speech. Let us have the evaluator, Alicia, to give the speech. To tell them the project objective.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, President Willie. Toastmaster Panos will be reading from Interpretive Reading Project 5, the Oracle speech, time 8 to 10 minutes, and is supposed to interpret and present a famous speech, effectively using the structure of the speech. So good luck to you, Toastmaster Panos.
Greetings, parents, and congratulations to Kenyon's graduating class of 2005. There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?" This is a standard requirement of commencement speeches, the deployment of didactic little parable-ish stories. This story thing turns out to be one of the better, less conventional of the genre. But if you're worried that I plan to present myself here as the wise, older fish explaining what water is to you, younger fish, please don't be. I am not the wise old fish. The point of the story is merely that the most obvious, important realities are often the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. Stated as an English sentence, of course, this is just a banal platitude. But the fact is that in the day-to-day trenches of adult existence, banal platitudes can have a life or death importance. I wish to suggest to you on this dry and lovely evening. Of course, the main requirement of speeches like this is that I'm supposed to talk about your liberal arts education, meaning to try to explain why the degree you're about to receive has actual human value instead of just a material payoff. So let's talk about the single most pervasive cliche in the commencement speech genre, which is that a liberal arts education is not so much about filling you up with knowledge as it is about teaching you how to think. If you're like me as a student, you've never liked hearing this, and you tend to feel a bit insulted by the claim that you need anybody to teach you how to think, since the fact that you even got admitted to a college this good seems like proof that you already know how to think. But I'm going to posit to you that the liberal arts cliche turns out not to be insulting at all, because the really significant education in thinking that we're supposed to get in a place like this isn't really about the capacity to think, but rather about the choice of what to think about. If your total freedom of choice regarding what to think about seems too obvious to waste time discussing, I'd ask you to think about fish and water, and to bracket for just a few minutes your skepticism about the value of the totally obvious. It's easy to run this story through kind of a standard liberal arts analysis. The exact same experience can mean two totally different things to two different people, given those people's two different belief templates and two different ways of constructing meaning from experience. Because we prize tolerance and diversity, nowhere in our liberal arts analysis do we want to claim that one guy's interpretation is true and the other guy's is false or bad, which is fine, except we also never end up talking about just where these individual templates and beliefs come from, meaning where they come from inside. As if a person's most basic orientation towards the world and the meaning of his experience was somehow just hardwired, like height or shoe size, or automatically absorbed from the culture, like language, as if how we construct meaning were not actually a matter of personal, intentional choice. Plus, there's the whole matter of arrogance, blind certainty, a close-mindedness that amounts to an imprisonment so total that the prisoner doesn't even know he's locked up. Now, the point here is that I think this is one part of what teaching me how to think is really supposed to mean. To be just a little less arrogant, to have just a little critical awareness about myself and my certainties, because a huge percentage of the stuff that I tend to be automatically certain of is, it turns out, totally wrong and deluded. I have learned this the hard way, as I predict you graduates will too. Here is just one example of the total wrongness of something I tend to be automatically sure of. Everything in my own immediate experience supports my deep belief that I am the absolute center of the universe, the realest, most vivid and important person in existence. We rarely think about this sort of natural, basic self-centeredness because it's so socially repulsive. But it's pretty much the same for all of us. It's our default setting, hardwired into our boards at birth. Think about it. There is no experience you have had that you are not the absolute center of. The world as you experience it is there in front of you and behind you, to the left or right of you, on your TV or your monitor, and so on. Other people's thoughts and feelings have to be communicated to you somehow, but your own are so immediate, urgent, real. Please do not worry that I'm getting ready to lecture you about compassion or all the so-called virtues. This is not a matter of virtue. It's a matter of my choosing to do the work of somehow altering or getting free of my natural, hardwired default setting, which is to be deeply and literally self-centered, and to see and interpret everything through this lens of self. People who can adjust their natural default setting in that way are often described as being well adjusted, which I suggest to you is not an accidental term. Given the triumphant academic setting here, an obvious question of how much of this work of adjusting our default setting involves actual knowledge or intellect. This question gets very tricky. Probably the most dangerous thing about an academic education, at least in my own case, is that it enables my tendency to over-intellectualize stuff, to get lost in abstract arguments inside my head, instead of simply paying attention to what is going on right in front of me, paying attention to what is going on inside me. As I'm sure you guys know by now, it is extremely difficult to stay alert and attentive instead of getting hypnotized by the constant monologue inside our own head. Maybe this is happening right now. 20 years after my own graduation, I have come gradually to understand that the liberal arts cliché about teaching you how to think is actually short for a much deeper, more serious idea. Learning how to think really means learning how to exercise some control over how and what you think. It means being conscious and aware enough to choose what you pay attention to and choose how you construct meaning from experience. Because if you cannot exercise this kind of choice in adult life, you will be totally hosed. Think of the old cliche about the mind being an excellent servant, but a terrible master. This, like many cliches, so lame and unexciting on the surface, actually expresses a great and terrible truth. And I submit that this is what the real, no bullshit value of your liberal arts education is supposed to be about. How to keep from going through your comfortable, prosperous, respectable adult life unconscious, a slave to your head and to your natural default setting of being uniquely, completely, imperially alone, day in and day out. That may sound like a hyperbole or abstract nonsense. Let's get concrete. The plain fact is that you graduating seniors do not yet have any clue what day in, day out really means. There happens to be whole large parts of adult life that nobody talks about in commencement speeches. One such part involves boredom, routine, and frustration. The parents and older folks here will know all too well what I'm talking about. By way of example, let's say it's an average adult day and you get up in the morning, go to your challenging white-collar college graduate job and work hard for 8 or 10 hours, and at the end of the day, you're tired and somewhat stressed, and all you want is to go home and have a good supper and maybe unwind for an hour and then hit the sack early because, of course, you have to get up the next day and do it all over again. But then you remember there's no food at home. You haven't had time to shop this week because of your challenging job. And so now after work, you have to get in your car and drive to the supermarket. It's the end of the workday and the traffic is very bad. So getting to the store takes way longer than it should. And when you finally get there, the supermarket is very crowded because, of course, it's the time of the day when all the other people with jobs also try to squeeze in some grocery shopping. And the store is hideously lit and infused with soul-crushing music. And it's pretty much the last place you want to be. But you just can't get in and out quickly. You have to wander all over the huge, overlit store's confusing aisles to find the stuff that you want, and you have to maneuver your junky cart through all those other tired, hurried people with cards. And eventually, you get all your supper supplies, except now, it turns out there aren't enough checkout lanes open. So even though it's the end of the day rush, so the checkout line is incredibly long, which is stupid and infuriating. But you can't take your frustration out on the frantic lady working the register, who is overworked at a job whose daily tedium and meaninglessness surpasses the imagination of any of us here at a prestigious college. But anyway, you finally get to the checkouts line front and you pay for your food. And you get told to have a nice day in a voice that is the absolute voice of death. Then you have to take your plastic bags of groceries in your cart with the one crazy wheel that pulls maddeningly to the left, all the way through the crowded, bumping, littery parking lot, and then you have to drive all the way home through slow, heavy, SUV-intensive rush hour traffic, etc., etc. Everyone here has done this, of course, but it hasn't yet been part of you graduates' actual lifetime routine, day after week, after month, after year. But it will be. But that is not the point. The point is that petty, frustrating things like this is exactly where the work of choosing is gonna come in, because the traffic jams and crowded aisles and long checkout lines give me time to think. And if I don't make a conscious decision about how to think and what to pay attention to, I'm gonna be miserable every time I have to shop, because my natural default setting is the certainty that situations like this are really all about me, about my hungriness and my fatigue and my desire to just get home. And it's going to seem for all the world like everybody else is just in my way. And who are all those people in my way? And look at how repulsive some of them are and how non-human they seem in the checkout line, or at how annoying and rude it is that people are talking loudly on cell phones in the middle of the line, and look at how deeply and personally unfair this is. You get the idea. If I choose to think this way in a store and on the freeway, fine. Lots of us do this. Except thinking this way tends to be easy and automatic. And it does not have to be a choice. It is my natural default setting. It's the automatic way that I experience the boring, frustrating, crowded parts of adult life when I am operating on the automatic, unconscious belief that I am the center of the world and that my immediate needs and feelings are what should determine the world's priorities. The thing is that, of course, there are totally different ways to think about these kinds of situations. In traffic, all these vehicles stopped and idling in my way. It's not impossible that some of these people in SUVs have been in horrible auto accidents in the past and now find driving so terrifying that their therapist has all but ordered them to get a huge, heavy SUV so they can feel safe enough to drive. Or that the Hummer that just cut me off is maybe being driven by a father whose little child is hurt or sick in the seat next to him, and he is trying to get this kid to the hospital, and he's in a bigger, more legitimate hurry than I am. It is actually I who am in his way. Or I can choose to force myself to consider the likelihood that everyone else in the supermarket's checkout line is just as bored and frustrated as I am, and that some of these people probably have harder, more tedious and painful lives than I do. Again, please don't think that I'm giving you moral advice, or that I'm saying you are supposed to think this way, or that anyone expects you to just automatically do it, because it's hard. It takes will and effort. And if you're like me, some days you won't be able to, or just flat out, you won't want to do it. But most days, if you are aware enough to give yourself a choice, you can choose to look differently at this, to look differently at the lady who just screamed at her kid in the checkout line. Maybe she's not usually like this. Maybe she's been up 3 straight nights holding the hand of a husband who is dying of bone cancer. Or maybe this very lady is the low-wage clerk at the motor vehicle department who just yesterday helped your spouse resolve an infuriating problem through some small act of bureaucratic kindness. Of course, none of this is likely, but it's also not impossible. It just depends what you want to consider. If you're automatically sure that you know what reality is and you're operating on your default setting, then you, like me, probably won't consider possibilities that aren't annoying and miserable. But if you really learn how to pay attention, then you will know there are other options. It will actually be within your power to experience a crowded, hot, slow, consumer hell type situation as not only meaningful, but sacred, on fire with the same force that made the stars, love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things deep down. Not that mystical stuff is necessarily true. The one thing that's capital T true is that you get to decide how you're gonna choose to see it. This, I submit, is the freedom of real education, of learning how to be well adjusted. You get to consciously decide what has meaning and what does not. You get to decide what to worship. Worship power, you will end up feeling weak and afraid, and you will need ever more power over others to numb you to your own fear. Worship your intellect, being seen as smart, you will end up feeling stupid, a fraud, always on the verge of being found out. But the insidious things about these forms of worship is not that they are evil or sinful. It's that they are unconscious. They are default settings. They are the kind of worship you just gradually slip into day after day, getting more and more selective about what you see and how you measure value without ever being fully aware that that's what you're doing. And the so-called real world will not discourage you from operating on your default settings, because the so-called real world of man and money and power hums merrily along in a pool of fear and anger and frustration and craving and worship of the self. Our own present culture has harnessed these forces in ways that have yielded extraordinary wealth and comfort and personal freedom. The freedom all the lords of our tiny skull-sized kingdoms experience alone at the center of all creation. The freedom all the Lord, this kind of freedom has much to recommend. But of course, there are all different kinds of freedom, and the kind that is most precious and you will not hear much talk about, much in the great outside world of wanting and achieving, the really important kind of freedom involves attention and awareness and discipline, and being able truly to care about other people and to sacrifice for them over and over in myriad ways every day. That is real freedom. That is being educated and understanding how to think. The alternative is unconsciousness, the default setting, the rat race, the constant gnawing sense of having had and lost some infinite thing. I know that this stuff probably doesn't sound fun and breezy or grandly inspirational the way a commencement speech is supposed to sound. What it is, as far as I can see, is the capital T truth with a whole lot of rhetorical niceties stripped away. You are, of course, free to think of whatever you wish, but please don't just dismiss this. None of this stuff is really about morality or religion or dogma or big fancy questions of life after death. The capital T truth is about life before death. It is about the real value of a real education, which has almost nothing to do with knowledge and everything to do with simple awareness. Awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight, all around us, all the time, that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over. This is water. This is water. It is unimaginably hard to do this, to stay conscious and alive in the adult world, day in and day out, which means yet another grand cliche turns out to be true. Your education really is the job of a lifetime, and it commences now. I wish you way more than luck. Back to you, Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. Toastmaster Panos, who who have a long oracle speech. Okay, let us go to Angela. She will be doing a project. He will be doing a successful club series closing a year. Angela.
Can I speak
Shweta, can you be the
privately?
because I need to share the application for her.
You want me to do?
The timer.
Okay, what is the timer?
15,
What's the timing?
10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
So what? Green 10?
Let me open 10, 30, 15.
Okay.
Let me open for the menu. Cozy Okay. Got it. Angela, are you ready?
Yes. My workshop is from the Successful Club series. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Wave if you can hear me. Thank you. My workshop is from the Successful Club series called Closing the Sale. And this is about how your Toastmasters Club can persuade visitors to join the club. Now, you might think this is a fairly straightforward thing, but I have known clubs where at least 2 members of the club persuaded newcomers not to join the club. One was a treasurer who would go up to them and say, I don't want you to join this club if you're not going to come along. And the other was somebody who would always say to them, well, you don't have to join now, you can join later. Now, first of all, what do you need to do to make sure that the person is interested in joining the club? The first thing is to see that your meetings begin and end on time. It makes you look professional and it makes you feel confident and act confidently. In order to do this, the participants need to arrive early and be prepared, because you've probably been to meetings where the slides weren't ready and there was a whole hoo-ha when people were trying to fix up the screen. And the club, people start talking amongst themselves and walking off. It doesn't look good. And I've sat in a meeting where somebody has said to me, I'm not going to join this club. They can't organize themselves. My view is that if you do have a delay like this, you should have a joke master who grabs the microphone and says, while they're doing that, I'm going to tell you a story. And that means that even if you've got prepared and things still go wrong, you can cover up your mistakes. Now, the club officers must all fulfill their responsibilities. That sounds fairly simple. But what happens when somebody is away on holiday, they've gone to China and they can't get back again? What are you going to do? Ideally, you have a big enough club to have some of us who can take over. And there are two things you can do. One is to make sure everybody, all the officers can do the other people's jobs. And therefore you rotate the roles each week or each month so that everybody's learnt to do everything. And the second is to tell everybody your job is not to do the job, your job is to see the job gets done. So that we often say to a speaker, if you can't speak, it's your duty to find somebody else who can fill the slot. Now the meeting should proceed at a good pace, so you may have to alternate as a long speech with a short speech, or a humorous speech with a sad speech, and have a Toastmaster who can link things through. The members should be enthusiastic. Well, it's the Toastmaster of the day who sets the tone by smiling, telling a joke, being happy, telling a happy story, or simply saying, everybody please clap. I didn't hear you, please clap louder, and getting everybody to do so. Now, we're working towards the win-win situation. You can have win-win, you could have win-lose, you can have lose-lose. What does all this mean? My view is that if you've joined Toastmasters, you must have joined because you thought it was good. If you stayed on, you thought it was good. Therefore, you are doing somebody a favor by getting them to join Toastmasters. You're solving their problem. Find out what their problem is and assure them that you can solve it. If they lack confidence, you can give them confidence. If they want to learn how to speak, you can teach them that. That's what it's all about. You will win by getting a member, and they will win by getting the training. Win-lose is if they join, you get the money, but they never come along. Make sure that you are sending them updates of the meetings so that they're gaining. The other thing you can do is display a chart showing everybody how everybody is doing in the system. And if there's somebody lagging behind, perhaps give them a mentor or pair them up with someone else who will make them feel happy. Lose-lose, they don't join, they go away, you wonder what you did wrong, you're demoralized, and they say bad things about you. Oh, I went to Toastmasters, didn't enjoy it. No, 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 you want them to say how great it was. Discuss the benefits. You might think the benefits are pretty obvious. You're going to improve your speaking abilities. Some people say, oh, I don't need to join Toastmasters. I already do speeches. I give lectures every week. But my experience is that you are always learning something, whether it's how to use a microphone, how to fill in time, how to tell a joke, like Shan Shan was telling us, how to be humorous. There's always something more you can learn. Leadership development. Happily, the new pathways gets you to do leadership at the same time as you are doing speaking. You learn to do things like running a meeting, coping with people who are not there, and so on. You learn better social skills. You learn how to listen as well as how to talk. And all along the way, you get greater self-esteem. And if you take videos of everybody in the club and then compare the first time they spoke and the last time they spoke, you will see such a difference, and they will see a difference. They will see how they've improved. And with their permission, you can put that onto your website. So close the sale. We've got an acronym here. Compare, or you lose people. Have an opinion, have a story. Compare how things were or how things are if they don't come along. What they will lose if they don't come along. Give your opinion and tell a story about how you benefited. Can you imagine going in to buy a washing machine and the washing machine salesman said, oh, well, why don't you come along to two or three demonstrations and look at 2 or 3 machines and see how you get on with them. And later on, you can decide whether you want to buy it. No, 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 total rubbish. Nobody in sales would ever do any of that. A salesman selling a washing machine would want to close the sale when the customer's there, the first time they walked in, without letting them walk out of the door. And he's convinced that his machine is the best thing ever. And he will listen to what they want and he'll tell them how the machine helps them. Think of your club as a washing machine that's going to wash the other person's life clean. So there we have it. Close the sale. close the sale. Do somebody a favor. You can be a great help and an asset, and they can be a great help and an asset to you. Who's going to help you? The Vice President of Education is going to make an exciting meeting. Everybody can have an application form so that if somebody is busy, somebody else has an application form in their pocket. Your Vice President membership is the great asset person. He's in charge of everything. He knows how many members you've got and makes sure you're always getting more. The more members you have, the more people you have to fill the roles, the more extra people you can get organizing events, doing technical things, doing a video of your club, and so on. Fill out the application for membership before they actually say they want to join. Say, we just fill this in to get to know you, and if you decide to join, then it's already done. Membership status, well, of course, new members, reinstated members, renewing members, dual members, they're going to pay different prices. You can tell the people who are renewing or transferring how much they're gaining. They still get what they were getting before, and they're saving their money. The new member, well, of course, they're getting all the advantages of the online magazine. They're getting a mentor. They're getting loads of things that they did not have before. So be aware of all these different things, financial things. What are the different people paying? What are the new members paying? When I first became a president of the club, I couldn't remember. In the end, I started writing down what the fee was on the back of my business card and the club card, so that when they got the club card, it had on the back of it what the membership was. So they never had to ask, well, how much is the membership? I never had to call over the treasurer and say, by the way, how much is the membership now? Of course, there are cases where you only charge them for a proportion of the year. So you need to be clear on that. And ideally, speak to the treasurer before the meeting and say, if somebody joins today, how much is it? You can even make a slide and put it up. Join today, it'll only cost you so much. So, filling out the membership form, one of the things that we're moving into nowadays is Payoh, and you've also got to make sure that the two people you are paying, one is the Toastmasters International, the amount they are to be paid, and if you meet in a club, a community club, they may want to be paid for every member. I'm looking for a new venue, hoping that they will charge us less or nothing at all, because that will enable us to run workshops and get new members, and then I will always be able to do great things. And how else do you get members? You make them feel happy, praise them, and ask them at the end, are you interested in joining? So, because otherwise you don't know whether they haven't joined because they're going away on holiday and whether they actually intend to join. And if they say they intend to join, give them a round of applause and tell them how happy you are and how much you think they will contribute. So all the different things you have to consider, your enthusiasm, your techniques for closing the sale, how the different meeting roles are going to involve the newcomers, how you can offer a mentor to assist them, and how you can have materials and information. Some clubs will give out a Toastmasters magazine with a membership application form inside it, and some clubs give you an official induction where they stand up and promise you that they'll come regularly to meetings, and that's a great help as well. So win-win, you can make a sale. You've got a product you love. When do you want to make a sale? I'm sure you do. Help each other to make a sale. Are you all agreed? Please raise your hands if you're going to make a sale. Tell your taxi driver, tell everyone you meet. Even if they don't want to join, they have a neighbor who has a son, a friend, a business associate, I'm sure they know somebody else who wants to join Toastmasters. Send them along to any club, and any other club will send them to your club. Make a sale. Thank you.
How do we make a sale?
Okay, now is question and answer portion. Anyone have any question for Angela? Panos.
You have to unmute and then we can hear.
Thank you, Angela. It's I find that the way you presenting the closing the sale took a little bit off this negativity that we have about the word sale. You know, the way you approached it, because we're thinking about people selling us stuff that they just want to find their way into our pockets. But in the way you describe it, people are selling us something that will be of immediate value to us, and that is joining Toastmasters, so we can learn something from that. Now, my question to you is about, my question has to do with surveying the new members or the prospects' needs. When do you think is the right time to get the prospective Toastmaster to talk about their needs and the reason why they are interested in joining Toastmasters? Is it early on? Is it somewhere in the middle of their first journey with Toastmasters? What would you recommend from your experience? Thank you again.
I would say, why not start at the beginning? People are often asked, please stand up, tell us who you are, where you're from, and why, what brought you along to this club. They may say, oh, I came along because so-and-so is my friend. In that case, you might say to them, do you want so-and-so to be your mentor when you join the club? Or they might say, I came along because I was scared of public speaking, or because I have a presentation to do at work next month, or I have to give a speech at a wedding. You can then say, oh, we have a member who's an expert on wedding speeches, or you've got 6 months to practice it, join now and you'll have plenty of time. You can then gear your speech up to what they're saying, and then during the break time you can introduce them to someone else who knows about the thing that's of interest to them. And if they say, oh, if they say I just came along for the food, then you can say, oh, we have the best food, and make sure that you rush up to them in the interval and say, would you like one of these lovely chocolate biscuits, and so on. So that's my view. And then you reinforce that at the end of the meeting when you say, what did you enjoy about the meeting? Is there anything that we could change or improve? Will you be coming along again? And make sure you tell them when the next meeting is and what they should do if they want to join, or who they should speak to. And make sure that the membership person stands up and says, I'm the person who can tell you how to become a member. And the treasurer can stand up and say, I'm the person who runs all the funds. So if you're worried about how to transfer the money, come and talk to me. Or if you think you can't afford it, I'll discuss with you how joining halfway through the year will save you something, and so on and so forth. And then you might want to say, are you interested in winning a speech competition? Are you interested in being the best? Or are you really shy? You just want to be able to stand up at work and just speak to people a bit more. Then you can get them doing a table topic or something. Does that answer your question, or any more? Excellent. Anybody else have a question? I think we might have time for one quick question. Can I hear from Timer how we're doing? Willie? Do we have a timer who can tell us? It says 60.
The timer is 60 minutes and 46 seconds. 40. Okay, let me report the timing. Okay.
Yes.
CJ is 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Zali is 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Shasha is 11 minutes and 01 seconds. Alicia is 7 minutes and 37 seconds. Panos is 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Angela is 60 minutes and 10 seconds. So the people who are qualified is CJ, Shansha, and Alicia. Never mind about tonight meeting. Next month we have to be perfect because it's contest fever. So Shansha can activate the voting.
That means all qualified, right? Or what?
Yes, all qualified.
Okay, pulling up the
no more the qualification. I mean, we'll choose people. We vote according to the timing.
has all voted.
So please display the result.
Okay, so all have voted. I will do the end polling. CJ and Panos have the same number of votes.
I override.
All right.
It's more or less.
The same number, the same percentage.
1-1 or what?
Sorry?
It's 1-1 or 2-2?
2-2.
What about Alicia?
1.
Then Pano CJ is the best speaker for tonight. So okay, now it's 11:46. We'll go for a 5 minutes break and we'll come back at 11:55. Sorry about the delay. Okay. The third part of the meeting will be evaluation, and the first evaluator Shansha will evaluate Toastmaster CJ on his speech. Toastmaster Shansha.
Okay. Using what? Okay, CJ, based on your speech, I will do the evaluation in 2 parts. One is the good, the other is the areas of improvement. What is good is you have a very captivating introduction. Like the way you say your name sounds familiar, like the Korean drama, 大长今 CJ, or call you as chief judge. That is how you generate interest. Next up is you introduce your family as well as your own family, the one that you found with your wife, and as well as the marathon and the childhood where you are being labeled. Let me see what else. Okay, then your Toastmasters journey. So these are the introductions that captivate the audience and wanting to hear more. Now, the areas of improvement, you can try using pauses, as in from family, introduction of your own family, pause, introduction of your family with your wife, pause again, and then the introduction of the way the marathon is run, describe the scenes, pause again. So here's where pauses, use the power of pauses to get more speech. Because your timing, you can go up to about 6 minutes. Next up is to elaborate more on your childhood, the childhood label that was like why you are shy, what happened in the family that makes you being labeled this way. Just elaborate more a bit so that everybody can have a deeper understanding of you. Yep, that's about it. With all this, you can go very far. And I have a quote from Edmund Hillary. It's not the mountain that we conquer, but ourselves. So that's about it. Thank you. Back to you, Willie.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shasha for his speech evaluation of CJ. Next, can I welcome CJ for his speech on Toastmaster diet.
Fantastic Friday evening, fellow Toastmaster. Let us congratulate Zahib on his first speech online. He excelled and met the objectives by sharing the importance of having a mentor, and he teaches us the difference between a coach and a mentor. He also shared with us why, when he joined Toastmasters Club a few years back and left due to the various reasons, and he rejoined Fuchun Toastmasters Club 6 months ago. Zahid, you are calm, cool, confident. I like your personal stories, which is engaging, entertaining, enriching, and share your life experiences with your mentor. I have some improvement for you. For example, for the eye contact, you can look straight in the camera. I can see that sometimes you are looking instead looking down, left and right, maybe looking from your nose. And you can even ask more questions to engage the audience. Start with throwing a question to the audience. How many of you think that having a mentor in life is important? For me, I think that is essential, and that's why I joined Toastmasters. You can also add in a role play. You can reenact the different situation between your mentor and you. You can make your story more dramatic and lively. For example, you share how sad you are when you find it very difficult to find a venue for your speech club. But your mentor is so cool, and he suggested to use his house for the venue, a very creative man instead. The challenge to bring your speech to the greater heights, you can implement a stronger call to action. You can implement a quote, maybe by Oprah Winfrey. A mentor is someone who allows you to see the hope inside yourself. All in all, I would like to congratulate Sahib. You are an eloquent speaker and you are as cool as a cucumber. You excel in the project objective and having a mentor. Just to take note of your eye contact and your vocal variety, challenge for you is to end your speech with a strong call to action. Back to you, Willie.
Thank you, Toastmaster CJ, for his evaluation on Zahid. Let us go to Toastmaster Angela for his evaluation on Shanshan's speech tonight.
I enjoyed Chan Chan's speech very much because I was thinking of doing the humorous pathway, and I think a lot of people feel that being humorous is a challenge and would be very interested in this. She engaged the audience right at the beginning by asking everybody a question, and she explained very carefully how the different levels, what you were expected to do at each one, how some levels were the same as other pathways and how it was different. I was interested to see that they asked you to know your sense of humor. I thought I knew my sense of humor already, but there we go. What else did we learn? We learned what she had been told by mentors or people giving her feedback about what kind of humorous person she was, and that she was more of a deadpan person. She didn't have the vocal variety or the facial expressions, so we could compare that with ourselves and whether that applies to us. What else could I suggest? I found that her hands were waving around like this, vaguely, and I think when you're on a small screen, each gesture has to show something specific, such as horror or something like that, rather than just waving around as you talk. And it would have been an opportunity to use your hands to express something about humor. The other thing is she could have used a hat or even a clown face to be humorous as she talked about humor, or to say, I'm not the sort of person who wears a funny hat, to put on a funny hat, and said, and seen if people laughed at that. The other thing I noticed was a tendency to look down at notes or away from the screen. I think we all have this problem. It's exaggerated when you're on a small screen. And I'm just wondering now what I can do. Can I hold my notes up to the right of the screen and read them off it, so that I'm doing that rather than looking down all the time? I'm wondering if that would be a useful, helpful thing to do. One question I had for Shan was, she said that only one person laughed in the audience. Well, how big was the audience? Only one person out of 3, or one person out of 20 or 50 or 200,000, and only one laugh? That would have raised a laugh. And then finally, I was very interested to hear that the last part of the project was as much as 22 minutes of stand-up comedy or being funny. That sounds quite challenging. So to sum it up, I enjoyed her analysis of the humorous pathway very much, because I think many of us would like to know about it, but just wear a funny hat. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster and Angela, for her evaluation. Let us go to Toastmaster Dennis for his evaluation of Alicia's speech. Toastmaster Dennis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And Alicia, enjoyed your presentation. I guess it's supposed to be a contest type speech, so I'm going to try to evaluate it in that manner. It was a great topic, tough love. I think we probably all have experienced that at one time or another, and maybe we've also given tough love, so I think we can relate to that. We'll look at it from 2 points of view, content and delivery. I'm going to look at first the content. You started off talking about your dad and how you were asked him about condo. So we started to get the idea of what you meant by tough love. And then you talked about your mom and about don't come home late or don't eat so much or so late. So that kind of got us into the idea of what was going on. Then you mentioned you're talking about going to a contest and bringing back your trophies and trying to show everybody. And there were various responses from that. I saw that as the beginning of most of your or half of your presentation. I would suggest if you look at the timing, though, how you divide your time up in that presentation. I don't know what a clicking noise is. That was took about 5 minutes to get to that point. So it only gave you about over 2 minutes to finish up your presentation. So I suggest that you adjust the amount of time that you spend with the part of explaining and getting us into what tough love is all about, and then what to do about it. So you need to adjust the timing to give yourself a little bit more time, because you actually, with the interruptions that you had with your family, it also affected the amount of time that you needed. But you need to give yourself a little bit more slack by adjusting that. So that's my recommendation on the content. On the delivery, I noticed that partway through your presentation, you wanted to stand up so we could see more of you, and you stood back. So when we first saw you, and as right now as we see you, you're sitting down, and we see the bottom of the screen just right about at your chin level, and your head is maybe about halfway. Now that's a little bit better when you backed up. My suggestion, though, is maybe you would rather be better if you stayed standing for the whole presentation, because it affected the volume of your presentation. When you're sitting close, your volume was pretty loud, but then when you got back and stood up, it was a little bit of an echo. So if you're going to do that, I would suggest that you maybe find a Bluetooth microphone or something that you can have with you and do the whole presentation standing up. I think that would be better, so that you don't have the transition of having to sit down and then get up, and then that kind of affected a little bit of your timing too. So I would suggest that you do it all standing up, but also get some kind of a microphone that would keep the volume level high enough so that we don't get the echo. I enjoyed the presentation. You effectively use the interruptions of your family, and maybe you might want to even build that into your speech and if they're not there, maybe have a recording or something, or act like they're doing something to add a little bit of comedy maybe to the presentation. But I enjoyed your overall presentation, and those are just a suggestion that I have for you. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dennis, for his evaluation or a contest speech. Let us go to the evaluation of Panos speech. Toastmaster Alicia.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Willie, and especially to Toastmaster Panos. Congratulations to Toastmaster Panos on selecting the most viewed commencement speeches in the past on the internet. And this is a special speech. Now, what Mr. Toastmaster Panos did very well is Toastmaster Panos has interpreted the speech of David Foster very well. He did very well on visual variety, in the sense of he had excellent synchronization of his facial and hand gestures. They were in sync with his words. And not only that, his vocal variety was also on top. He used his tone effectively and brought out the emotions throughout the speech. And I, including the audience, could feel the speech. And therefore, we can remember your speech for a very long time. And what Toastmaster Panos did very well as well is he had also effective pauses. Now, this was what I could learn from him. Now, the other part where we could all learn together, in those parts of his speech that were lecture, were number one, basically, the speech was 20 minutes, but Toastmaster Panos took 25 minutes to complete the speech. So in this way, he could better utilize the time. Perhaps he could speed up certain part of the speech. Probably certain parts was too slow. Now, the other area is that I noticed that the original speaker was standing on the rostrum. So Toastmaster Panos might like to consider reenacting the speech by standing up and possibly wearing certain visual aids as well. But this is not too important. As the speech is very long, at least 20 minutes, he could make us remember his speech forever if he could have just one slide that shows the 3 profound life lessons from This is Water speech. The first lesson is on the default setting, the second on choice and taking, and third on the awareness and consciousness. And also include one quote from this David Foster. The point of the fish story is merely that the most obvious important realities are the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. So with this one slide, we will remember your speech forever. So in all, Toastmaster Panos, you interpreted the speech very well. All you need to do is just better utilize your time and have one slide, and hopefully this brings food for thought for the champion speaker in you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Aditya. Okay, since Toastmaster Angela is really speaking for the Better Speaker series, for the Successful Club series, let us have 3 persons to give her feedback on how she can improve. Toastmaster Zaid, would you like to give your feedback?
Actually, it's a good speech. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Actually, I like her speech because it's easier to understand because she's using the visual. Yeah, and the visual that she used is also very simple, and she elaborated all the points. So all in all, to me, is very easy to understand, and I like the speech.
So will you join her club if you are given this presentation?
Definitely for to join a club, yes, but the only factor that I may consider is the location. Yeah. So, but definitely to gain knowledge or to have join a Toastmaster club, yes, I would. Well, depending on the of course the consideration of the location of the club.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Zaid. Let us have Toastmaster CJ feedback on his speech, on her speech.
Overall, I find it a great speech, and I like her presentation on the PowerPoint, and she did evaluate each of the point very well with examples. That's what I love about the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster CJ. Anyone else who want to give her some feedback about her speech? Just the last person. Panos.
Yes.
Any feedback? You can.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that Abdul? Any feedback you have for her?
Yes, I think it was a very, very good, on point, interesting topic, and I enjoyed it. It's always good to continue learning from the person that you think you could resonate, and stuff like this you can always memorize and write it down. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Abdul. Okay. Let us go to the book. Okay. Actually, all codified as an addition, but never mind. We give her a chance, and then you can book the best evaluator. 3 more person, 2 more person to vote. I don't know who. Gerald come and this time. No. Any more? Any more before we end our voting? Wow, what a good story. Okay, no more voting, and I end my voting. The best tabletop eventer goes out to Dennis. Okay, I guess we have 2 guests tonight. Sally, how do you like about the meeting tonight? Give us your feedback about the meeting, Sally.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. All in all, it's a good experience to have meeting online, and I think all the speakers is very good. Learn a lot of things through the speakers, and all in all is I enjoy. And although I'm very tired, it's past my bedtime, but really enjoy and it's a good experience to me. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Adu, this is your second meeting. How do you enjoy the meeting tonight?
I enjoyed because every time I listen to different person that's talking, I kind of pick up on things, what needs to be, learned, and I like it. And everybody's participating, focus. They show their face, and I learn from eye contacting and stuff like that. But I do enjoy it, so I continue coming back again and again.
Thank you, Toastmaster Adu. He's from New York. It's near Dennis, in California. Today we have 5 wonderful speeches. Although it's a bad period for many people out there in the world. I just have a few words to say to all Toastmasters out there who are viewing our video, the recorded video recording. Come and attend our online Toastmasters Club meeting to do your prepared speeches, to do appointment holder. We are here to support you. If you are very sensitive or going to a physical club of yours because you are worried that you are scared of it capturing the virus, even with a mask, you have problems speaking. But speaking online, you do not need a mask. We need your face and voice. Tonight's session, we have very wonderful speeches, although some portion was a bit slow. That made some of us go tired. Some of the speech was very colorful. Our dear Toastmaster and Asian speech was the most colorful speech of all. Because I can see every audience, every one of us was laughing away when she do her speech, and then when she stand and she struck an impromptu conversation with her parents. And the journey by Shansha of how she started her pathway for level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 of presentation mastery and humorous, engaging humorous. That is a very colorful speech. And CJ's speech was very colorful as well. That there are so 3 points of his life. At least I don't know whether your wife is listening to your speech while you're doing your speech or not. Toastmaster Zai, he missed out 1 point. We did not know who is his mentor. But never mind. Actually, the mentor is me. He really, I have seen him going for a returning member of the club. I'm also a club president and VP of the Future Toastmaster Club as well in Singapore. I have seen him go for a nervous speaker to a confident speaker, a confident Toastmaster of the day, as well as and the next move he has taken is to go online, which other member did not want to. He showed by example as a club officer of the club as well, of the physical club. He showed the club member that he can also do his speech online confidently. So lead by example is what the Singapore Online Club is showing. So without ado, anyone have any feedback before I end the meeting? A last words, and then we can have after party host. Alicia want to say something?
Oh, this speech is actually going to be for international contest, but not for humorous. So,
but it seems like a humorous speech to us.
But it's okay, right, to have an international speech with some humor in it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what's Danny's comments.
How's the audience react? I mean the judges react. I'm not the judges, I cannot.
Correct.
But to us, it's a humorous speech. Yeah. Okay. Well,
additional actors, actress came in impromptu.
So I declare the meeting closed and we'll continue our second part of the session.